All right, we are recording. And I think, Matthew, you're first. All right. All right, we have all the presenters here for tonight. And let me just open up the list. Yeah, Matthew, Laura, Elizabeth, Richard, and Daniel. You're presenting one after another, and try to stick around with 10-minute timeline. However, if you need to go a little bit over, it's okay. It's just that we have this new Zoom link that I got from NYIT. It will allow us to go over 1 hour. So it's okay to go up to 7 o'clock tonight. So thank you for being here tonight. I am looking forward to learning from you. All right, pick up the microphone.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right, we're ready to hear.
All right, so let me just share my screen. All right, you guys got it? You see it?
Yep, I got it.
All right, so the first thing I'd like to share with you guys is my this presentation I made for multimedia authoring. I really think this exemplifies my visionary leadership as a instructional coach because it just really implements the strategies for initiating and sustaining technology. Because PowerPoint is a very useful tool and it's very available to a lot of people. So really using that and teaching people how to use it and really mastering a program is something that we can do. So I just want to show you a little bit about how this is laid out. When you go to the opening screen, really what you can do is you can click on different parts of this house. Since I teach architecture and engineering, a unit that I really do is sustainability with my kids. So really having something all in one just to have external links linked to it and really explain the different processes can really help my students learn. So something that you guys might not be aware of is a lot of green roofs. So I built this into the program, like how it works, and it has step-by-steps on the important pieces of a green roof. And really this allows the students to explore. It allows them to really go with what they're interested in, and they can really link things to external resources like articles and different videos and things like that. And it has descriptions. Can you hear that?
Without this barrier, the building below would experience moisture damage, jeopardizing the structural integrity of the building, and could cause excessive mold and mildew that harms the occupant.
I'm not going to go through it all, but it really has really in-depth resources. And other teachers can use a presentation like this. It's very, I mean, I wouldn't say it's easy to make, but it's readily available. And if you can teach things like that to different teachers, it advocates policies, procedures, and different programs within the districts, I feel. You know, you can take this and implement it in any way, in any classroom setting. And it allows the students to be interactive. It connects curriculum to real world practices. So I really think that this exemplifies the coaching and incorporating technology into the classroom. Any questions on this PowerPoint presentation? And I shared it with you guys on that resource.
Was this for multimedia authoring?
Yeah, this was my project that I did for them.
I thought this was the toughest assignment really in all of NYIT.
Absolutely.
For me, this was the toughest thing we had to do, and this looks great, way better than mine did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
I really put a lot of effort in. I've probably logged over 100 hours doing this. And I use it, I share it with my students. That was another thing that I really struggled with getting because it's a huge file. And I had to, my school, we have this online resource. It's just like it's a file sharing resource like SharePoint. and I was able to upload it to there, and all the students could access it. So I use this in conjunction with my lessons, where they really were able to use this outside of the classroom and really explore what they were interested in. When they wanted to incorporate different resources into their designs, they were able to use this to kind of guide them in how to set that up.
You know, I also teach a course in civil engineering and architecture, and I agree with the other guys. This was probably one of the hardest assignments, most time-consuming assignments in the program. I also did it on sustainability and green building design. So I really like this.
Cool. Yeah, if you want to use it, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, so the other thing that I'd like to show you guys is my PBL unit that I did with Stan. Since I teach architecture and engineering, I really wanted to focus something on problem-based learning, and I really focused this around the design process. Now, the project that I developed was a GoPro mount, like a GoPro camera, and the students had to come up with their own mounting system to actually fix it to, well, I do another thing with my students where we build a prototype vehicle, and I wanted them to be like a driver's view of when the car is being driven. So I gave them this whole introduction. I used Educanon, like a video, to kind of introduce the project, and then throughout the entire design process, I wanted them to collaborate with each other using technology. I wanted them to like solve this real world problem. So they were all able to document their collaboration and communication using different tools. The tools that I use, they're highlighted down here. I use Educanon. I kind of gave them a time management portion. That was really important. I gave them a checklist to kind of keep on track. So I used Google Calendar, but I started using my district's calendar when I really applied the project. I used bubble.us for like a brainstorming, and to kind of, they can link their resources to one another, and it was able to really like track their progress. And it was able to document their projects, whether to see if their idea was a genuine, like, original idea, or if it was an innovation from somebody else or an inspiration. And I really was able to blend old school practices with new school. I teach drawing. I teach technical drawing, so they were able to draw using pen and paper. They made templates, and then we even got into the CAD portion. And then after they created a CAD file, we were able to 3D print it out. And we even have a plasma cam where they actually were able to cut stuff out of metal. It was really cool. And this is like college and career ready skills. So I really think like being able to practice what I preach, I can really then turn that around and help other teachers get on that level, you know, really to model and design and implement using technology for learning experiences. Any questions on the PBL unit? No? And then the last one I wanted to share with you guys is my screencasting. My professional development, I did about 20 hours within this PD. I focused mainly on Jing and Screencast-O-Matic. Right here I have an activities chart on how to of what we did. I just did a basic intro, how to capture images, how to record a screencast, and this was I was able to present to teachers of all different various curriculum, English, math, within my department, technology, you know, and it was really great because it was able to break down the barriers, and we were able to kind of collaborate amongst one another to talk about how this could really be integrated into different specific lessons or within a cross curriculum. I used Jing to create my own tutorials, which was pretty cool. And it was really to, again, practice what I preach, show teachers that you can use this program to really bring your programs up to another level. And this touched upon the professional development standard within the IST where you can design, develop, and implement tech-rich professional learning programs that model principles of adult learning. I wrote that standard down because I knew I had to talk about it. So I was able to highlight different parts of my my district's resources, like OneDrive and SharePoint. We have the Microsoft Office 365, and really it was amazing. I didn't really think about teaching that while I was doing my screencast, but half the people in there didn't even know that we had these resources. So it was pretty cool to kind of like open their eyes to that as well. They didn't know screencasting, and then they're like, oh, how do we share this with the kids? And it's, oh, well, you just go right into where your email is and you click this, and they didn't even know that that even existed. So it was cool to share that with them. And we were able to really tailor this professional development to a bunch of different subjects. And we did it in 2 sections. We did it in the morning section, we did Jing, and then took a lunch break, and then they came back and we did Screencast-O-Matic, where we took it to the next level of writing scripts and how to add video to those scripts and how to edit those videos once it was created, you know. How am I doing on time?
Perfect timing, actually. You're only a couple of minutes over.
Oh, all right.
I really enjoyed every single link in your presentations. Mesmerizing. Thank you. Thank you so much. And you also reminded me one more thing we discussed yesterday with the other Matthew. In this class, in this master program you're going through, you not only learn from the classes, you learn from your peers. So thank you for sharing your wisdom and your scholarly work. All of you, this is like really the reason why the courses are going well, and the reason why you're all doing successful work is, I guess, partially because of you, because of your collegial work and your collaboration. So thank you.
Thanks.
And don't forget to publish. Find a way to publish your work so it somehow copyright itself. You don't want to just give it away, everything. You might want to also put your name onto things that will give you a chance to say, this belongs to me. So if you do it on a website, make sure it's dated and copyright signature is put on. Yeah, try to find a way to get some kind of validation from somewhere, because this work needs to be highlighted. You need to own your work.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Can we move to the next presenter?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How about you?
Good, good. Let me see if I can share my screen. Can you guys see? Can you see my desktop?
Yeah? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We see it. Yep. I remember seeing this page before.
All right, very good. I have to say, organizing the portfolio, I found so stressful and so difficult. I started off, looking through all the work that I have done over the last 2 years and, putting it onto a document. And then I was like, let me just create a little page. So what I ended up doing was creating this little ISTE portfolio, and just added all the links in there and then added the rationales to it. So what I'm going to do is just show you my first standard on the first component. During the very, very first semester, I had to create an e-portfolio with Professor O'Hara. And, it's just kind of like weird looking back at all of the work that we have done and like how much we've improved over the time. So I really came into this knowing absolutely nothing, and gained so much from all of the professors. So one of the things that I use now a lot is live binders, and it's just an easy thing for, my colleagues to, add things to. So this isn't part of my school. It's just the live binder that I created for Dr. O'Hara. And back. Let me just advance. And then like some of the other things that we did was using Prezi, which is another great tool that I've passed on to colleagues just for them to quickly develop something that's nice and visual for our students. I work in a District 75 school, which is special ed. All of my students have IEPs. We work with students who have severe and multiple disabilities. So a lot of times we'll use things that are very, very visual, and Prezi is one of those tools that we can go to. And then I don't want to like really rush, but I created a s'more, which shows some of the conferences I attended and also some that I presented. So I had presented a couple of things on 3D Worlds, which is, it's like an alternate virtual reality world for our students who are on the autism spectrum. And it was to help develop some social skills. So my students in 721X were able to go on to this virtual world and communicate with students from all over the city. So that was something that I had turnkeyed out to all of the teachers in my school. And then we also use Discovery Textbook quite a bit, and coding. We've been doing coding in our school for 3 years. And let's see. Another thing that I've noticed is a lot of times teachers, they're so busy and, they're looking for information. There's 2 technology teachers in our school, and a lot of times, we're teaching or we're not available. So I started adding items to a page that I call Technically Speaking. So I show how to create screencasts. I have a presentation on Discovery Education, storyboard that, Class Dojo, Ed Puzzle. So teachers can refer back to this to see mainly screencasts or, visual directions on how to use that. And then in addition, I have here the New York City Department of Ed Internet Policy, a letter that I sent home to all of the families in our school about internet safety. And let's see. And then a link to the FERPA, the SIPA, and the COPA laws. And then in addition to that, I've been working on a school website. And this is a great communication source between the school and our parents. So I have different newsletters that come from the different school sites that we have. We have several sites. So each of our sites have a little newsletter that they send out, and I'll add that as they send them to me. Oops, sorry. And then I have just like announcements from the transition coordinator to help prepare our students for when they leave and go into adulthood. A lot of them, we have to figure out what they're going to do, because once they turn 21, a lot of times that's it for our kids. There's no education past that. So helping to get them situated into a home or a work site, our transition coordinator has added like a ton of little flyers and events. So we have a little page for her. And how am I doing on time? Am I okay? Good. And then, you know, as things happen, I add them to the website. So we have a lot of things coming up for the holidays, so that's all added. And this was primarily my professional development hours were really dedicated to working on this website.
Thank you, Laura.
Okay.
Perfect.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, thinking back to one of the first things you mentioned was, you know, incorporating the instructional technology into your lessons and whatnot. And it made me think back and how kind of thinking back to the beginning of the program, you know, there was a lot of different things that you've done. And I was thinking about the same thing when I was putting together my portfolio and how early on in the program, it kind of felt forced adding some of these different resources, whether it was like SMORE or whatever other, you know, interactive features. But then I realized like more recently, it's just kind of been a more natural fit kind of it you know, the planning part just seemed a lot easier.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Laura, because it's also very important for us to do something that's also meaningful for our schools.
Right.
Yesterday, we were actually talking about a friend of mine attended what the tech is going on instead of heck going on. It was very nice what the tech is going on. Mm-hmm. And she found that there are a lot of projects now is bringing social entrepreneurship or connections among the people. Like because through your website now you're going to reach out to more parents, more connections. So it is wonderful. Like one project I heard that brought needy people to schools who happen to have 3D printers. So the people who need prosthetic arms or legs will be able to get one because the tools and the resources there, it's just a matter of connecting people together. So thank you for your leadership on that important end. And
thank
coding,
you.
Oh my God, thank you for bringing coding to early ages. The earlier the better. Right now, my daughter who's in university just came back and she had an interview for internship for eBay the other day. And she was crying. She's like, Mom, I should have known more coding. They were asking me more coding. Believe me, that's the future. Whatever you do, you also need to know a little bit of coding.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for cutting it short. Can we move to Elizabeth, right?
Yes. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
All right. So I'm going to share my screen. Is everybody to see what's on there? Yes. Okay. So I am very privileged to work in a district that actually won Race to the Top grant money about 5 years ago. So although I work in a Title I school, it also, we do have one-to-one Chromebook device correspondence. So I have been able to implement so many of the projects that we've done in our class. And one of the first ones is my acceptable use policy, which actually a lot of my professional development hours for this course have been training not only teachers, but not teachers, but students and their parents how to use these Chromebooks effectively and ethically in their homes. So in an acceptable use policy, although my district kind of tweaked it, and actually I want one of the tech TOSAs, which is called the Teacher on Special Assignment, and I've been asking what they thought about the changes that I made, and they actually brought it up to the superintendent, so maybe they'll be like adding something to it, but I thought that that was really neat, and I definitely attribute a lot of, you know, the skills that went into that to this course. But one of the highlights of this year for me had been on the first day of school on September 6th, it was, Chancellor Rosa of the Board of Regents was in our school, and I was actually pulled out of my classroom on the first day of school, but that's not here or there. But I was pulled out, and I had the chance to actually sit down and talk to her about a lot of the technology that I had been integrating into my classroom and about training people on Chromebooks. So I was able to show off so much of this knowledge that I definitely would not have had without NYIT. I am forever grateful for that. So one of my favorite projects, definitely my AUP, because what I do with this is I use this AUP in my own classroom, and I have students actually go through and read it and reflect upon what's happening. So they're the drivers of creating the rules and procedures for using the Chromebook, since we do use them every single day. So it's kind of, I created it, but they take the ownership. They really, like diving into it and dissect it to get what we need. So that was really one of my favorite things, was the Ed Puzzle PD, which I did with Dr. Silverman, which was honestly one of the most time-consuming classes that we took, but it was so worth it. I had so much respect for him. I think that he taught me how to be so confident with my technology integration, but I actually showed this to many teachers in my district. I am a 5th grade teacher, so I am elementary, but I think it's 7th through 12th grade now in my school district, all of the teachers are required to be flipped classrooms. So, when this came about, there was a large panic and a lot of hysteria about how teachers are going to adjust their practices to reflect on these new sets of expectations, because typically, the teachers really like the sage, and they stand up in front of the class and they, spit out what they want you to know, and you're expected to remember it. But now it's kind of like the teachers are just dropping you the hints, and it's up to the students to really make sense of it. So I went through and just made a very quick Ed Puzzle user guide, and I did make a video as well. I typed up step by step, and actually I've shared this with, as I said before, a lot of teachers in my school district, and they have really given me a lot of positive feedback on it. So I know that a lot of people are getting use out of this. And even in a 5th grade classroom, like I said, I work in a Title I school, so the ability variance is just so incredibly high. I have students that are no higher than a 2nd grade level. So I do use Edpuzzle to help meet the needs of some of my higher kids while I'm taking care of some of my lower students, giving them the skills that they need. So all the students are getting what they need, but they're still inside that main hub of the classroom. So I use it all the time in my classroom. Another one of my favorite things that I created was my assistive technology review. Work in a classroom where we have a lot of 504s for medical needs and a lot of vision and hearing things going on. So, I think that a lot of times there's, this idea that a technology integration coach is really all about showing classroom teachers how to simply integrate 1 or 2 pieces of technology for the benefit of the whole class. But if we really take a dive a little bit deeper into that, we can help teachers help specific students as well. For example, I chose to review the Intel reader. A lot of my students have vision problems, and that, to help them with that, I do need to differentiate their homework by giving them different, size fonts, but over even different fonts, because, there's a lot of differences even between the different fonts that you might use. As an elementary teacher, I know the time is definitely against us. There's just not enough hours in a day to accomplish everything that we want to accomplish. So by taking that pressure off of teachers and being able to review forms of assistive technology, we're helping them in so many different ways. I think we need to look outside of the box as just integrating technology into lessons, but utilizing technology to help diagnose and, correct specific things. I don't think that's done as often as it should be. Although I had some more, I really just wanted to highlight one of these last ones, which was my digital literacy blog. And I just checked today, and some of these pictures are not, showing up as nicely as they could. But, as we said before, we need to develop students that are digitally competent citizens. And they're not only digitally competent, but they're able to be global citizens in that same sort of idea. So in this 21st century literacy web portal, I went ahead and I reviewed 5 different tools that would help develop the literacy competencies in various, student populations. So I happen to focus on the ELL students, but I think now it's known as English as a New Language. They're always changing that acronym. So I chose to focus on the L student population here, and I went through and I actually highlighted a lot of different types of like visual things that students could use to help them develop something. So in my classroom, I actually do have the ENL population. So I have an ENL teacher that pushes in and co-teaches with me, in addition to a math AIS teacher as well. So there's about 3 of us co-teaching at one time together. And when we do social studies, what I really like to do with my ENL population is, instead of just having them, write about what they're doing, we do host a lot of debates about hot issues and about issues that have happened in the past. And one of the websites I really like is Virtual Debate. And it's nice because it has live feed of different classes doing debates. But sometimes I like to use that in my social studies classroom to kind of give my students like a jump off point. And then we model debates on different issues off of that. But it's great because as far as literacy goes, it incorporates reading, because they're researching, they're evaluating sources, they are using these digital tools to really help them develop in a new way. So I think I am just about at my time, but did anybody have any questions? I know I speak really fast.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I know we're running out of time, but we can always take the questions at the end as well.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
I'm thinking Richard is anxiously waiting, right? Hi, Richard. Can you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't hear you really. I think your microphone's going in and out a little bit.
Hello, whose microphone is not working? Richard, can you get your microphone working? No, we can't hear you.
I don't think your microphone. Yeah, we can't really hear you.
All right, I think I'm the next one, so I'm just gonna share my screen.
Okay, perfect. We can hear you now.
Okay.
Everybody could hear Richard, right? Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Microphone is yours.
Okay, so I just want to run through a few of the things that I did, and this didn't start at the beginning. So a few of the different pieces that I worked on this semester in particular, the main focus for me was one-on-one, some coaching efforts. Now, at my school, I'm kind of taken on this role as an unofficial technology coach. What I realized is that coming into my building, I work at a specialized high school, Brooklyn Tech, where there's a large technology department, but a lot of the teachers are experts in a particular field from a different industry, and they don't necessarily have a lot of experience working with specific instructional technology. So it was something I didn't necessarily realize at first. And also we had a lot of new teachers come on board this year, probably between 30 and 35 new teachers this year alone. And so what I realized is that, and this is the standard that Hart uses, a number of the teachers weren't familiar with our systems in our school. And so we use a learning management system called Moodle, in addition to Scheduler, which is like PupilPath. It's our online grade book. It's also how we do things like guidance referrals, deans referrals, communicate with parents. And we also utilize Project Lead the Way. It's an engineering curriculum provider. And then Naviance, which is something for writing college recommendation letters and things like that. And so there's a lot of different online programs that we use, and new teachers coming in are kind of overwhelmed with a lot of that. So one of the things that I did was I spent my C6 period, which is basically in addition to teaching, my other period of responsibility, coaching different teachers on how to use these things, also during lunch periods, also answering emails regarding these things, because it kind of, there was a limited time during the day to kind of address these things. So email was a big help. And what I recognize is that some of the teachers, a lot of times what I had is the same teachers coming back asking the same questions, that they just didn't remember what it was they needed to do. And so what I started doing was developing a video tutorial library. There's a couple of links in the notes section of this presentation, which I linked to the Google document. And so basically by creating the video tutorials, it just saved me a lot of time. I could just send that through an email and show people step by step how to go through the different parts of these systems. Moodle is probably the biggest one I spent the most time on, just because we really pushed in our school to create blended learning environments where the students can utilize Moodle to access not only course information, but the presentations we're using, links to other resources. And so that's something that I spent a lot of time on this term. The second part is evaluating some new resources that the school is taking on. As a technology school, and we're a career and technology education school with New York State, meaning that our students, if they complete a particular sequence of courses, they not only get their Regents diploma, but an endorsement on there that tells anyone who sees it that they not only have a certain level of theoretical knowledge in a particular career field, but they also have a certain amount of real world experience in that field as well. So one of the things that the state requires for the students to get that endorsement is something called a career and financial management course. And so it goes through things like resume writing, interviewing skills, aptitude tests for different, career paths. And so one of the things that we had done in the past was use Moodle to kind of enhance, to facilitate that. And it wasn't really working very well. There was a lot of gaps. And so working with the various assistant principals and teachers in the departments that it affected, we conducted a needs assessment to kind of figure out where the gaps were and how we could address those. And what I advocated for was a fully online course that was self-paced, meaning the students could work on it at their own pace through a third party. What I realized is that we were trying to create all of these resources when there were plenty of resources that were already out there that met our needs. And so rather than trying to reinvent the wheel, we found two options that seemed to fit our needs pretty well. And that was something from Pearson and then another one from Adventum, which I had never heard of. Looking at those, we evaluated the different courses, looked at what their capabilities were, and one of the most important things that I really pushed for is that it had to be something where the students could access it from their mobile devices. So mobile learning is obviously a big part of instructional technology. I also saw from my own experience in the classroom that my students really relied on being able to access everything from their phone. And a lot of time commuting, they're on their phones constantly. And so just being able to have that, the ability to do this work on their phones was a critical part of that. And so we made our recommendations. I suggested that we went with Adventum, but we're still waiting on the final approval from the school administration, budgets, things like that. So we're expecting to unveil that next year. So the third part of what I've been working on, and this is actually something I've been doing for the last couple of years, is a STEM pipeline program. Basically what that is we have an outreach program where we look at some of the different middle schools around Brooklyn, in particular schools that are underrepresented in terms of their students going on to specialized high schools. And so what we do is, what I've been doing is supervising a team of STEM teachers who work at Brooklyn Tech and a few other schools, as well as some test prep experts who work with the students in grades 6 through 8, so younger students from what we're used to working with at the high school level, on Saturdays and also for 5 weeks over the summer. So the idea is that we're looking to reach out to these students and not only provide test prep for their specialized high school exam, but also get them involved with some highly interactive and STEM-focused projects, so it's project-based learning. And so some of my responsibilities were to work on developing these Moodle classrooms and work on developing the interactive content. So it ranged anywhere from interactive videos using things like Zaption to just kind of simple things using Google Forms. And that's also where we incorporated into the program evaluation using Google Forms and some reflections and things like that for not only the students involved, but their parents and other people involved in the program. And the last piece that I worked on with that was, as a technology coordinator, just acquiring the required technology that we need, setting it up, and then there's always troubleshooting it. Especially on the weekends and over the summer where we have a limited staff in the building, a lot of that really kind of fell on myself and a few other people. So I included a link there to that program just to kind of give you some more information. But those are probably three of the bigger pieces that I did with this practicum experience. So are there any questions?
Wow. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It looks very impressive. Thank you. And whenever we think STEM, I am very happy that you're bringing into the classrooms again, full of you. Earlier when also, oh, I'm mixing up the names right now. Elizabeth mentioned, for instance, Ed Puzzle. All these little pieces gets together, and I see that most of the software I hear, like Moodle, I heard about it but never used it, but I can see that you guys are using it and using it well. So thank you. Thank you for putting it into good use. And we are going, let me just check the list. Who's next? And please feel free to ask questions now or at the end. Hopefully we'll have time to ask each other questions. All right, Daniel.
All right, let me just get my screen up really quickly. Did that work?
It worked. I mean, not the screen. You sound good.
Wait, can you see my screen or no?
No, not yet.
Hang on. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Oh.
Perfect. It's coming. Yep.
All right. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so I will try and get this going. All right, so I'm going to put a link up to this in a little bit just in case anyone wants to kind of get through it, and in case for time I get cut short or anything. I'll actually provide a link to this just in case anyone wants to go and peer at any of the resources, again, in case something I don't get to. So the first thing I want to comment on, which I think a few people have brought up tonight, is kind of just the experience of going through the portfolio and looking at all the things we've done over the last 2 years. And I was kind of horrified by looking at some of the things that I did over the first semester, especially when I was working in this program. And I agree with something that I believe Richard just said, where I think, you know, as we've gone through this program, it's become a lot more easy to use some of these programs, look them up, research them, as kind of our fluency with all these skills is developed. So I kind of just put together 6 quick slides, one for each resource based on things I put together and things I came across when I was putting together my portfolio. So for visionary leadership, I'm looking at Screencast-O-Matic here. I think that when we talk about actually trying to put together a cultural change in learning environments that we worked in, it's really, really important that we kind of look at resources that are easier for all of us to use and try to get people out there looking at them. I think Google Docs is one of the more accessible programs out there for schools that just have access to computers or Chromebooks. So I think if this is a program that we start to use to help students put together pieces of writing, to work with them on editing pieces of writing, we're not just going to be putting other resource out there. We're actually kind of going to help shift some of the culture of the things that we do in the classroom and gear kids more towards what they're going to see when they get to college, when they get into a, you know, career level work environment. So that's what I put together for visionary leadership. That was one that I put together on, again, the use of Google Docs, but it's really the implementation of Screencast-O-Matic that allows us to share these resources that brings that leadership, you know, aspect to it for us who are working as coaches, those of us who are working as coaches. The next thing take a quick look at is teaching, learning, and assessments. And I want to talk about Kahoot a little bit after I kind of go through what I put together here. So this is the example I'm going to show you for teaching and assessment is really the most popular Kahoot quiz that I ever put together. This is one that I made public, and more people played it and looked at it than I suspected ever would. I thought just like the 18 people who were in my class at MIT were going to look at this one. So I was happy to see that other people had actually taken a look at this. It shows how we can develop things for our classroom that can actually reach out and touch people in other communities. So again, this is one you can go on and play if you wanted to. Again, if you've taken NYT courses, you'll probably do pretty well on it. The one thing I want to say about Kahoot, though, and this is something that I've noted, especially this year. I'm the union rep for my building over in Pine Bush, and a lot of teachers in their lessons are using Kahoot in their lessons. And a few people have gotten negative feedback for using Kahoot because when students get questions wrong, there's that red screen that says students have gotten something wrong. And I have heard of a few people getting kind of dinged on their evaluations because kind of small episodes of bullying and things like that have popped up because of that red screen. So it's just something to kind of put out there and think about when you're using the program and you're kind of putting it in front of certain populations of students. But it really is a very engaging resource. And it's one that gets kids really to think about their learning and to get involved in an assessment in a way that you're not going to see on an essay or a normal test. Moving down the line to our third standard for digital age learning environments. I think that putting together learning environments and lessons online that students are going to access really benefit from being a bit more interactive or utilizing different media, which is one of the reasons why I really like TED Ed. I'm a huge fan of TED Talks to begin with. And again, I think anyone who's been through NYIT has seen at least, the same 4 or 5 TED Talks over and over again. And then if you've delved into the site, you can really see that there are a lot of great resources on there and a great number of things you can do as an educator. I love TED Ed because I can pull in, videos from TED Talk, use those with students, or I can actually create original videos in this program. I can put together discussion questions for students. I can put in resources for them to dig deeper into things. So it's a really engaging and interactive tool that really puts forth all of the strongest media that you're going to be using for tech integration in the first place. Huge fan of TED Ed. Moving down to my next resource, which I'm only going to discuss for right now because I noticed that I need to give myself permission to access this from another Google account. For professional development and program evaluation, I think an important thing for us always to do is to reflect on the work that we're doing, especially as coaches, because then that's kind of a new role, especially for those of us who are getting this degree as teachers who are going to really just start to dabble in professional development. So getting feedback on what we're doing and how we're implementing these tools is going to be really important. Google Forms is a really easy to use free resource that you can work into any professional development, and you can have people answer through multiple choice, through short answers. There's a few different ways to get back strong feedback on the work that you've done. That way you can evaluate things that you're doing, improve them, and make your professional development a little bit stronger. This one that I developed here, and I'll fix the access on there for when I put up the link, is for a PD session I did on SAS curriculum pathways. And again, this was just me looking for feedback from people who were a part of the PD. And the last thing that I have here, or no, the second to last thing, sorry, is a piece on digital citizenship. Here I used Google Blogger to put forth a quick blog on the importance of digital citizenship. I think this is an issue that kind of touches parents, student, teachers, coaches, everyone involved. Again, as a union rep, I can say that, the way that people act online has created probably more problems for professionals than students based on what I've heard flowing through the building. So knowing how to conduct yourself online and knowing how to model the best behaviors online are extremely important for us. And this blog that I put together kind of addresses a lot of those issues. One of the things I was happier with in terms of just a single assignment that I put together for one of the courses here at NYIT. Last thing we'll look at very quickly, and if you want to see the video in all of its glory, you can actually check the link that I put up in a little bit. But for content knowledge and professional growth, I think it's really important that we seek out new resources or look at resources that we've used over time. We find new ways of using them and new ways to really integrate our content areas into the use of those so that we can create transfer for ourselves before we start to expect it from our students. So this last artifact that I have linked into this presentation is just an Animoto public service announcement, more or less, on digital citizenship and why it's so important. I've always been a big fan of Animoto. The more I've worked with the program, I've invested in getting a professional account and using it and implementing my own materials and media into the program. So this is one I've been a big fan of, especially teaching at ELA. There's just so many different ways that you can end up using it. So those are my resources. I want to try to stick to time and get the last 1 or 2 people in. So if there are any questions on that, I would be glad to take those after the next presenter.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you very, very much. When you said TED. I'm like, yay, me too, me too. I really love watching one TED a day, and now I'm more addicted to TED because it's really animated and my son loves it. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I'd always used TED, but thanks to Dr. O'Hara's ELA course I took this semester, I'm using TED Ed more than I ever have before.
Yep, I'm glad you do. And the other thing you need to do now is to turn your good ideas into TED Ed, so you could be the next TED Ed teacher. All right. Thank you for putting the link up, because I was going to ask where is the link, and now it's right there. Okay. And now the floor is yours. You're welcome to ask each other questions and exchange some ideas, because next presenter is ShayLyn. It's starting at 7, but I know some of you are going to disappear on us, have some dinner and catch up some other work. But if you stay with us, we have more presentations coming up later this evening. But I even had a chance to go get some tea because today my battery died, like the key battery died on my car. So in this cold weather, I get out. I couldn't lock my car. I was in NYIT, and luckily I took bus home, and I'm on the bus road. Luckily, came home and got the spare key and figured it out how to get the battery. But I feel so sick right now because so cold. What a day. I made it home though, right in time for your presentation. So I can't wait to hear the rest. Thank you for amazing semester with all of you. By the way, everyone who presented tonight, so far so good. I try to update your points. I put 5 full points for all of you. And please feel free to ask me if you want to make sure all your work is done. So by next Friday, I shall finish my grading. But if you need to reach out to me and want to make sure you got all your points and all your projects ready to go, please feel free to shoot me an email or WhatsApp me. That's my new big thing, WhatsApp. I never thought I will say this, but my cell phone number is also my WhatsApp number, so you can get connected with me anytime, 24/7 for the rest of my life. I am here to serve you. I can't help you until I go to the other world. So I hope we'll stay connected, and I hope I will be part of your future collaborations.
Thank you, Professor. You're the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a very wonderful evening. But if you can stay, ask questions and join the ShayLyn's presentation, please feel free. She's starting in a few minutes.
So yes, I gotta go.
All right.
Go ahead now. Take care, guys. Have a good night.
You
Good
too.
night. We'll be recording the session anyway, so if you're interested in listening to the rest of them, I will be putting them up on the Zoom link. So please feel free to check them out later.
Professor, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
On the grades thing, it says EDIT 695 and MSIT and NYIT.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
What is?
I think I might be missing 2 things, but I'm not quite sure what they are.
Oh, don't worry. I think some of them is my special creations.
Okay.
No. Let me tell you what. No, first of all, let me check you quickly on the system. I think you're all set. You're one of the students who have everything. Let me double check. I know I'm not supposed to say, the grades over the internet, but it seems like, yep, you have everything.
Okay.
Those
All
things,
right.
survey. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Those are created just because I had to create spaces for them, I guess. Yep.
Okay.
Those.
All right. Thank you.
You're good. You have everything all checked in. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad.
Thank you. Any other questions, please feel free to ask while we're waiting for ShayLyn to get ready. Or maybe she is ready.
I was going to say, I am ready if you want me to start now. I know it's a few minutes early, but.
It's earlier the better. So
All right.
go ahead.
So I went a little differently. I didn't create like an actual slideshow presentation. I had done a lot of the collecting in a Google Doc beforehand. Now I just have to find where it is on the sharing. That's face. Hold on. You might get my Facebook up in a second. Hold on. Because I opened up all the tabs. Yep, you got my Facebook to start off with. Sorry about that, guys. All right. What I actually started off with was I ended up starting to create a, I started it all in Google Docs with the different standards. So like some of the examples of work for visionary leadership, and then the curriculum design and development. And what I did tonight was I went through and I opened up a bunch of the different tabs. So one of the things that I do every month for parent outreach is we use the website S'more. And this was our November newsletter. So I'm in charge of facilitating the organization and creation of it. I normally, well, sometimes I share it out on my Twitter or on Facebook because that is an option. It can also be shared on Pinterest or on websites. So every month the teachers get together, the cluster teachers, and we write blurbs about things that are going on in our classes and things that the kids can look forward to and the parents can look forward to. This went over as a big hit with my principal because of the fact that it can be shared in so many different ways. He really appreciates the ease that it's shared out with. Either when I submit it to him, we can print it out, or that we can send it via email or a bunch of other things. I also pulled up my classroom technology plan. And you'll have to pardon me, I'm actually getting sick. I've been under the weather the last couple of days, and I'm not doing too well tonight. So my classroom technology plan I started this 2 years ago. And in my room, as the technology teacher, I felt that my needs are really more of a school-wide, not just in my classroom. So I created this with the help of my assistant principal. And over the last year and a half, my principal has actually gone and gotten many of the things in this, in the technology plan, the implementation plan that I created with the help of the AP. So our school now has brand new smart boards in 13 out of our 25 classrooms that needed them. They got like the flat panel smart boards. We got those in the middle of last year. We have iPads in every classroom now, not just our self-contained and pre-K classrooms. And not only does every teacher have a laptop now, but all classes have laptops. So we have laptops for 5. We have security carts to protect them. So all of the new resources that we have here have actually happened. We did get an improved bandwidth in the school. We did get a new AC for our server room. And we also were able to, recently we just purchased a whole bunch of brand new MacBooks, Mac Airs for the some of our brand new teachers that just came in. And I think that this is one of my better pieces, even though I did it earlier on. I started it. A lot of what's in here we've been working on for the past year and a half and have come to actual fruition, which was really nice for me. Oh, I'm gonna mute myself for 1 second.
Well, she's muted. We're all muted.
So yeah, no, I muted it so that you guys, I hope you couldn't hear that.
No, that's fine.
I muted it so because the phone was ringing and I thought maybe it was my husband calling. All right. So one of the other things that I'm really proud of is the website Kizoa. This is a website that I've used several times to create. We take a lot of pictures in our school, and I took all of the pictures for the pre-K teachers. I collected them and then I organized them into a slideshow. I don't want to share those slideshows because those are the kids. I also did it for kindergarten. Why is this still?
Come from. Wow, David.
I'm sorry.
Come from. Wow, David. Hello. Please leave
It's a wrong number. Anyway, so this is one that I created as a model for my students to use. I had them create 15-word memoirs. So this was mine. And then I took it and I used it with, for the rest of the school to create the slideshows. So if you, I'm just gonna play it, it's short. So it's, like I said, it's really short. And they upload their pictures to it. So it's a tool that I've taught them to use. And we use it also within the school for creating the slideshows for the different graduation ceremonies. And then we send it off to the parents. So they also have memories of everything that's been going on in their classroom with their kids for that particular year. And that one was mine. I have one of the units that I've created. I've shared it with not only, I worked on it with the music teacher, the art teacher, our writing coach. So this was a real cross-curriculum unit that we created. I created it in one of the classes here. And it turned out to be a really great project that I've then, now that I am the ambassador for the facilitator for our district, I host every month training meetings with all of the technology teachers. I've shared this particular map with them because it incorporates a lot of different types of technology, assessments, vocabulary, the standards, not just Common Core, but also the ISTE standards for them. And as you can see, there's a lot of different technology tools that we use in it. But I think by far the favorite thing that I've worked on is not that one. Sorry. I worked on this one. I created this as another parent outreach workshop. I actually just hosted it the other day with the teachers. We went through various different vocabulary words that they needed to know. And then we talked about cyberbullying and how to keep the kids safe and things that they can do. I shared the rules with them. We talked about how they can, other tools that they can use. And then there's this one. This has been like my project that I've spent a lot of time on this semester. I'm doing it for a different class, but I think going along with what I taught with the parents the other day, that teaching digital citizenship in the 21st century is a really important skill. So this is the interactive project that I've created for the students to use. And I don't have it set up as the interactive right now. It's 107 slides, but it goes through different parts of what a digital footprint is, internet safety, chatting safely online. And when the kids play it, they click on each of the different pieces and it takes them to interactive slides where like I'll pop up on the screen and offer them questions. There's essential questions, various different videos that they can watch. And, oops, sorry, there's stories in here that I imported audio content to it. And games. There's interactive games in here. I'm trying to find one for you guys so you can see it. Oh, here it is. So on this one, it's a matching game where they click on the correct answer, and when they click on it, the text box up here goes to the correct answer, and then it pops up and says, "Great job." And I actually think I'm out of time now. So that was really all I got to put together in a portfolio, showing all of the different things that I've worked on throughout the time here.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to stop sharing my screen though.
Thank you very much for sharing all your goodies tonight. And for those who stayed extra for ShayLyn and shared your own experiences. Any questions, any comments, you feel free to send out or post it. And we are still recording the session. So if you have questions, maybe someone will have a chance to hear and get your answers. All right. I want to stop the recording, and hopefully the next cohort is coming in 30 minutes, I believe. So if you can have some dinner, catch up some work, you can join us again. Other than that, you're free to go and get your 5 points for your presentations. And again, if you have any questions, that any missing links on your grade sheet or anything that's unanswered in your mind, please feel free to shoot an email or call. And please feel better, ShayLyn. I know how the season is getting bad on us, so stay healthy and happy. And I wish you all Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, however and wherever you're celebrating. Hugs to you all. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.